everyone, this is Heather, and today I am here to show you how to make this adorable honey bear shaker card that has little bees and sequins inside. Sorry about the glare. Hope you can see that. Isn't that cute? So what you're gonna need is one of the newer sets from Stampin Up catalog called A Little Wild, and we're using the bear and some of his accessories. I'm also using the Little Lev's Framelit Dies set, which is the coordinating dies to the Little Wild. Then you're going to need some cream cardstock and some pattern paper. And a whole sheet of cardstock should be enough for the entire project, and then just a pattern paper that's going to work with the colors that you're using. So I picked this one that has kind of a pretty, it's almost like a Queen Anne's lace floral pattern with kind of a honey yellow color, and it's from Stampin' Up as well, and it's from the Whole Lot of Lovely pattern paper set. It's got these really bright big oranges on the back, but I thought that the colors worked really well with that. Then you're also going to need a little piece of acetate, window plastic, just some kind of clear plastic sheeting, and then some square dies. And I'm using the stitched shaped squares from Stampin' Up, but you can use whatever you want. You could also use your paper trimmer, but it's going to be a whole lot easier if you use a die cut. Also going to need a coloring medium. I'm using alcohol markers, something to go inside the shaker card. I'm using sequins and some of the little die cuts, and then some adhesive. The most important part is that you're going to need foam tape or foam strips, something like this. So these are like pre-cut strips, or you can just use your foam tape. So let's go ahead and get started. Once again, this is the card that we're making. So I've just taken my 8.5 by 11 sheet of cream cardstock, and I've cut it and folded it in half. And now I'm going to apply my pattern paper, which I've pre-cut to 4 and 5 1/4. So just using regular adhesive runner on that, and center that in the middle. And for now, we're going to set that aside. And then using the smallest square in the stitched shapes framelit dies, I've pre-cut the smallest square, and I'm going to use that for my words. And I'm using Memento ink, which is, I've said this before, it's just kind of my favorite go-to ink. Make sure I got this the words, well, I guess it doesn't matter if the words are going in the right direction because it's a square. So I'm going to ink up the words and stamp that out, and that says, whoops, hello there honey bear. Isn't that cute? And oh, like I said, I use the Memento ink because I'm using alcohol based markers, but you can use whatever works with the coloring medium that you're going to be using. So then the next step is to make the window for the shaker card. So what I did was take another part of the cream piece of cardstock and cut it to 3 by 3. I just used my paper trimmer. If you have a die cut that's that size, then that's perfect, but just cut it into a square. And then I placed the second largest stitched shaped square die in the middle, making sure that I kind of had an even amount all the way around. I eyeballed it, but if you aren't very good at that, or you don't feel really comfortable, you could use your ruler and just make some little tick marks just to kind of make sure that you've got that even, so you don't have like a wonky square. I've already pre-cut this just to save some time, so I just used some repositionable tape to hold it in place, and I ran that through my Sizzix Big Shot, and that's the window opening that we've got. And then I've got my window sheet plastic, and I have cut it to 2.5 by 2.5. So you want it just slightly larger than the opening and slightly smaller than the outside of your frame. So So we're just going to lay the frame down and kind of center the window plastic and just use regular Scotch tape and tape it down in places. My Scotch tape is a little wide, so I'm just going to tear it into thinner strips just so it doesn't show. I'm just going to place a little bit, and this does not need to be straight or perfect or anything like that. No one is going to see this part. So let's tear another little piece, and I know everything's kind of clear, so it might be hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just laying the tape down. So I've just got a little bit of tape on each side to hold that window plastic onto our frame. And now we're going to set that off to the side and get another piece of the cream cardstock. And we're going to stamp out our images. So the way that the animals are on the stamp set, they're made for a tag that fold over, so you have the front and the back. We're actually only going to be using just the front of the bear, so I'm going to ink up just part of the stamp just to make sure that I've got enough ink on the bear. I'm going to stamp him out, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to use the same black Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp out the bee's skeep like that, and then stamp out some bees. And just leave yourself enough space so that you can use the die cuts to die cut around. So like I said, I'm using alcohol markers, but you can use just any color medium that you want. And I'm going to color the bear in this kind of medium tan, and I'm leaving the inside of the ears and a little area around the cheek open so I can, whoops, kind of fill that in a little bit. That's okay. The color will go over top. So just kind of, I'm going to do this quickly, but you can take your time. That's the great thing about alcohol markers, they color in pretty darn quickly. And I apologize for the band-aid on my thumb. I was cutting up tomatoes this weekend and I sliced my thumb open, so I'm sorry for the gnarly band-aid. And then across the bottom of the bee's keep, I'm going to use the same brown that I used for the bear. I'm going to grab this kind of bright pink color and give him some little cheeks, color the inside of his ears. So our little bear looks like that. And if you want to, I think I forgot, I did add kind of a little bit of shading. Some markers, if you go back over with the same color, you can get a little bit of a darker shade. Again, I'm kind of doing this quickly. You can kind of get a little bit of a darker shading with it instead of having to use two different colors of browns. So see, I got just a little bit of shading there and some highlight. And now we're going to take our yellow marker and color in the body of all of the bees, and don't forget the one that's on his body there. And then we're going to color in the bee's keep. Doesn't that make a lovely little scratchy sound? And again, just kind of see if I can add a little bit of shading there by going over it with the same color. So I've got my bear colored, my bee's keep, and all the little bees. And now we're going to die cut. I'm going to cut this guy away from the rest so that we don't accidentally die cut what doesn't need to be die cut. So I'm taking some repositionable tape, which is my favorite tape to use. You can use any kind of a low tack tape or washi tape, and just kind of center that die. And you are going to have a little kind of loop and fold at the top, and that's okay. We're going to cut that away. So just make sure that that's where you want it. So I've just taped that into place. And then I'm going to do the same with the bee's keep, and the bee dies. are grouped together like the bee stamp is, but you can only cut out one set of 3 at a time. And that can be a little time consuming if you're cutting out a lot. So go back to the card real quick. So I have a few scattered around, and then I put a bunch inside the card. So you would just stamp, color, die cut, stamp, or you could stamp and color a bunch all at once, and then just individually die cut 3 at a time. This is totally up to you. You could just put just the sequins inside or just a few little bees. I die cut a bunch of bees, but you can put as many as you want, and it will just be a little time consuming, but it's cute, and if you don't mind taking the time, then it will be really fun. So I'm going to pull my die cut machine over and begin to die cut out my images. Okay, so I have pulled my Sizzix over, and I've got my dies, and I'm going to lay them down on my base plate, put my top sandwich plate in, and sorry if this shakes the camera a little bit. I'm going to roll that through my die cut machine, and then I always like to roll back again just to make sure that everything is cut out nicely. Get that out of the way. And so now we've got our little bear, and he is partially die cut. And then we've got, oops, my little bees escaped there. So then we've got the bees keep. That's nicely die cut. And then I've got a few bees, and then I went ahead and die cut a bunch more. I think you can see all those teeny little bees. And so like I said, so you would just put the die cut back on, run it through the machine, and die cut out, oops, die cut out as many bees as you would like. So kind of flip some of those little guys back over, and I'm going to set 4 of the little bees off to the side for the front of our card. So now we're going to take our bear, and we don't need that excess, so just take your scissors and leave just a little bit of white space around like the die cut did, and just snip away that part because we're just going to use him. And now let's pull our card over, and we're going to begin to assemble. So I'm taking the Hello There Honey Bear and cutting off just a small little piece of foam tape, and I'm going to place that in the upper right hand corner of my card like so. And then I'm going to make sure that my frame is facing forward so that the tape is on the back. And we're just going to use some regular adhesive and tape the bear down in the lower left hand corner. And in the lower right hand corner, again, just with regular adhesive, we're going to adhere that bees keep. So that's what our little window looks like. And now we're going to take some of our little bees, and I'm using some just glue dots, and I'm going to adhere a few little bees just scattered around on the frame. Oops, make sure his little wings are going up. So these are the 4 little bees that we set aside. Oh, it's so fiddly to get these little, but the glue dots are really handy. I'm going to scatter those around, and then I'm also going to put one up where the words were. Just put another little guy on there, and then up here where the words are, put our 4th little bee like that. All right, now we're going to put the shaker card part together. So now we're going to turn the frame over. So now that we have everything on the front, we kind of know which is the front and the back. And we're going to turn that over, and I'm going to use the strips of foam. Like I said, if you don't have any of these pre-cut strips, you could take your scissors if it's wider than the section of your frame and just cut it into strips, and I'll have some excess here. So what you want to make is a little frame that doesn't have any openings so that none of your little bits inside can escape. So you're just going to butt those ends up there together like that, just so that you don't have a big gap anywhere, so that when the recipient shakes it, it doesn't have stuff flying all over. So we're going to do all 4 sides and kind of put that up in there like so. So we've got a, no, that doesn't want to let go of my finger. It's very sticky. So we have our frame on foam tape, on double-sided foam tape on the back of our actual frame. So now we're going to add all of our little shaker components, and for me, for this type of shaker card, the easiest thing to do is around the area where you're going to place your frame. Oh, little piece of cat hair. Yeah, I have a little cat and she likes to leave her fur everywhere. So we're going to put a bunch of the die cut beads down in the center there. I'm going to get some sequins and put a little pile of sequins inside. And I'm going to admit on my sample card that I did pick out the green one, so I only had gold and orange inside, but I'm not going to do that right now. So however much you want inside, just make a little pile in the area that you want that to be. And now we're going to peel off the backing plastic on that foam tape. And that stuff is sticky, which is good. That means your shaker card's not going to come apart. So I've peeled off all that off. And then I'm going to place my frame where I would like it to be, and make sure that you push down really good so that everything is sealed inside. And we're done. So when we've got all our little bees and our little sequins and stuff inside. So that is our honeybee. Oh, see, a little bee escaped. So that's why you want to make sure that everything is taped down really, really well. So isn't that fun? Really cute. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. My channel's pretty new, but I've really, really appreciated all the nice comments that I've gotten and people that have subscribed and watched the videos so far. It really means a lot to me. So please check out my channel for some other tutorial videos, and I'm going to continue to try and get up at least 1 video a week. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is Heather, and have a great day. Bye.